There's a power in silence that most people never understand. In a world obsessed with noise, with making your voice heard, with fighting for attention, silence becomes something that many underestimate. But silence, when wielded with purpose, is not weakness. It's your strongest weapon. The more you stay silent, the more they crumble. The world is filled with noise. Everyone wants to speak, wants to argue, wants to be heard. Everyone is fighting for their moment of validation, trying to force their narrative on the world. But you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to scream your worth into the void. You don't have to justify your every move or explain your silence. Because when you stay silent, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. You have the power to let others reveal themselves without saying a word. You have the power to watch them stumble, to watch them crack as they desperately seek the attention you're denying them. Silence is your control. And when you choose not to engage, when you choose to remain silent, you turn the tables. The more you don't react, the more they expose themselves. Think about it. People who thrive on conflict need a reaction. They need your attention, your energy. It's how they fuel themselves. It's how they get their validation. But when you refuse to give them that reaction, when you refuse to engage, you strip them of their power. You take away the very thing they need to survive. And without it, they begin to crumble. They don't know how to handle your silence. They expect you to react, to fight back, to defend yourself, to argue with them. But when you remain still, when you don't give them the satisfaction of a response, it drives them insane. They don't understand why you're not reacting. They don't know what to do with themselves. And in their desperation, they reveal their true nature. They reveal their insecurities, their weaknesses, their need for validation. They expose themselves, not because you called them out, but because you chose not to engage. You chose not to give them your energy. You chose to be the one in control. And in doing so, you let them crack under the pressure of their own desperation. Silence isn't about running away from conflict. It's not about avoiding confrontation, pretending nothing is happening. It's about knowing that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. When you stay silent, you show them that their words, their actions have no power over you. You don't need to argue to make your point. You don't need to defend yourself. Because the truth is, silence speaks louder than words ever could. People will try to pull you into their drama. They'll try to trigger you, to provoke you, to get you to react, so they can feel validated. But the moment you engage with them, you've lost. The moment you let them pull you into their petty games, you've already given up your power. You've let them control your emotions, your reactions, your energy. But when you stay silent, you are untouchable. You are no longer a player in their game. You have stepped outside their world. And that's when they begin to unravel. Because the truth is, people who thrive on drama, who thrive on conflict, they need your response to survive. Without it, they have nothing. No audience, no power, no fuel to feed off. And the more you withhold that response, the more they expose their vulnerabilities. You don't need to call them out. They do it themselves. Look at how they react when you stay silent. They'll start to scramble. They'll start to question themselves. Why isn't this person reacting? Why isn't this person fighting back? They'll try harder and harder to provoke you. They'll throw insults, launch accusations, twist the truth, all to get a reaction. And the more they do, the more their desperation becomes obvious. They expose themselves for who they really are. Weak, insecure, and in need of constant validation. But you don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You have something stronger. The power to remain silent, to not engage, to watch them crumble under the weight of their own desperation. The most powerful people in this world are not the ones who yell the loudest, not the ones who seek constant attention or validation. The most powerful people are the ones who know when to say silent. The ones who understand that silence is not submission, it's strength, it's a choice. And when you choose to remain silent, you show the world that you don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to fight for attention. You don't need to make anyone see your worth. Your silence speaks for you, and it speaks louder than any words ever could. When you stay silent, it's not because you're afraid. It's because you know that silence is the ultimate weapon. People who try to bring you down, people who try to manipulate you, they want one thing: a reaction. They want you to feel small, to feel inferior, to feel like you have to defend yourself. But when you don't give them that reaction, when you remain calm, unbothered, and silent, you take away their power. You strip them of their ability to control you. And in doing so, you make them feel small. You make them feel weak. Because no matter how much they scream, no matter how much they try to provoke you, your silence makes them realize they have no control over you. This is the real power. And this is what most people will never understand. They'll fight, they'll argue, they'll try to prove themselves in every way possible. But the true warriors in this world don't fight with words, they fight with silence. Their desperation. And you stay strong, you stay silent, and you let them destroy themselves. Don't get caught up in their games. You stay silent, the more they crumble. You don't need to fight. You don't need to prove yourself. Your silence is the proof. Your silence is the strength. And as you watch them fall, as you watch them scramble, as you watch them expose themselves for the weak, desperate people they are, you will realize something. You have won. You have already won. Without lifting a finger, without saying a word, you have defeated them. And That is the power of silence. So, when the world tries to provoke you, when people try to drag you into their drama, when they try to test you, remember one thing. Stay silent. Let them expose themselves. Let them crumble. And watch as you rise above it all, untouched, untouchable, and unbreakable.